This lesson is a precursor to the next one when I explain how a lift lever works. That's a lift lever there, how it works, and we'll also incorporate how the hammer actually works. So those two levers will feature in the next lesson that we do. However, in this lesson, you need to know how a J-hook works, because if you don't understand that, then you're not going to be able to understand the following lesson. First, I'll give you the theory on how a J-hook works, and then we'll see how it works in a practical application. All right, we'll assume this is the back plate. We've got a piece of equipment on it. Looks like that. That's a Minute Arbor. It has a cam on the bottom of it like so. Coming up a little bit higher, there's a pinion on it. And then sitting on top of that is the minute wheel and the cannon arbor, that piece there. The minute arbor sticks out at the end like that. That diagram is not particularly easy to see. I think I'll get another one of my darker whiteboard markers and try it again. The first piece we see, we'll assume that this is the back plate. We've got a piece here, the movement, that's a minute arbor. On the bottom of that, there's obviously a pivot there and a pivot there, but on the bottom of the minute arbor, we've got a little cam like so. Up here, a bit further up, we've got a pinion, and then sitting on the top of that, we've got the cannon pipe which sits there, and then on the bottom of the cannon pipe, we've got the minute wheel, and that's called the motion works. We're now looking at the J-hook, which is situated up here in a hole in the back plate, actually a little bit closer over, let's say there, and it runs down here, and it's bent at the bottom across there, and there's another arm that comes out there, and there's a wire that comes out there with a little angle on it. So what happens when you turn the minute arbor, this piece here in the center, I'll drop that down a little bit closer. So what happens when you turn the minute arbor, this cam spins round, and as it spins round from where it is at the moment all the way round back to here again, the J-hook does not touch it at all. There's no contact between the J-hook and that cam there. As the minute arbor turns, this part of the J-hook moves up on the cam. It starts down the bottom, down there, and it gradually slides up the cam until it reaches its topmost point, and then that little lever there drops off the cam. And what happens as this bottom lever here is moving up the cam on the minute arbor, this bent wire lever up here is slightly rising up and pushing on the count lever, slowly lifting it up little by little like so until it drops off that cam there. Once that happens, when it gets right to the top, this lever here that sits on the warning wheel drops off the pin on the warning wheel and it goes into warning. And the lift lever drops back a tiny bit and continues to rise until that lug down the bottom there drops off the cam. And once that happens, the pin on the warning wheel is disengaged from that lever there. And then the movement starts to count as the count lever runs round the count wheel, which is this piece here, as we'll see later on. All right, so that's what happens with a J-hook. That's all it does. There's nothing very exciting about it, but that's all it does. It lifts this little arm here on the side that we'll see in a moment when I take it out, and that rests under the count lever, which slowly rises until this bent piece of metal on the bottom of the J-hook drops off the cam there, and then the system starts to strike. Alright, now we'll have a look at the real thing. This piece you can see here is called the motion works. You can see me turning it round. That piece that's threaded there coming out the end. A little bit more light on it there. That's the Minute Arbor, that's where the hands sit. This is the cannon arbor or cannon pipe. That is the minute wheel that I'm pointing to there. And you'll be able to see the cam that sits on the bottom of the Minute Arbor. You can see it moving there. You'll remember that this movement strikes on a cup bell. So normally on the bottom of the Minute Arbor you have two of these cams, a large one and a small one. And the large one is used to set off the striking on the hour, and the small one strikes the gong on the half hour, which is once, of course. Alright, so this is slightly different. So we'll look initially in here. You remember that this lever here activates the cup bell, and that little spring there keeps positive pressure on it. I'll put a hand on, it's going to make it easier to wind it round and be seen. There you can see that lever activating the cup bell hammer. Put our knurl nut on the top of it. That'll hold it down so we can turn it more easily. Make it easier for you to see. Yes, it does. Alright, so that's the way it goes. Now, I'll turn this round a tiny bit. Now, when we look here, in there, you can see that cam. This is the cam that we're looking at. I'll move the minute hand and you'll see it moving up and down. Now, as I turn the minute hand, you'll see that the cup bell lever is riding up on the cam, up towards the top, and then drops off. And when it drops off, it activates that hammer there. So I'll run round that again and you'll see the hammer work this time. We're winding it up over the cam. There it goes. So that's the cup bell striking. Alright, now if we go around to the other side, this is where the J hook is. So if we look down in there, once we get a decent angle happening, that black piece there is the J hook. And the same thing happens with that cam. As I turn the minute hand round, the lug on the bottom of the J hook rises up on the cam and then drops off. And the thing that you're not particularly seeing there but you're about to see now, this is that other lever that's on the J hook. So as I turn the minute hand round slowly, you'll see that lever there start to rise up. See it coming up there, and then it drops off. Just before that drops off, the movement goes into warning. As soon as that drops off, the movement starts striking. And that's how simple the J hook is. And I'll see if I can get another. There we go. I'll turn this round, and that's the lever that raises the count lever. As I turn this round, you can see it rising up and down. Alright, so that, in a nutshell, is the J hook. Now, take the movement to pieces, and we'll have a look, and you can see exactly what the J hook looks like. I'll remove these nuts down here, and back in the dish. I've actually found another set of mini spanners in SAE, British SAE sizes that I've ordered, so that'll be here in probably a week or week and a half or something, and it might make it a bit easier removing some of these nuts from the pillars. German clocks, of course, run on metric, and that's a set of spanners I've got because I do a lot of work on German clocks. But the British and American run on a non-metric system. Consequently, I've managed to find the other set of spanners, and it'll make it a lot easier when I'm tightening and loosening. Whoop, legs come loose. They're back on again. Right, now here, with the top plate missing, you can see the parts I was talking about. There's the J-hook there, that black piece of bent steel there, that's a J-hook. There's a little brass cam sitting on the Minute Arbor, which is that piece there. That's a cannon pipe, that's a minute wheel, and this little bit of brass down here, not that you can see it particularly there, try it again. This little piece of brass here is the lever that fires off the cup bell. So that's the components. So that's what, yeah, that won't stay there now because it hasn't got a top plate to support it. But anyway, as this turns round, you'll see that lever starting to rise up. All right, so that's the J-hook. Nothing mysterious about it. It only has one job to do. It rises up on that cam, which lifts this lever here. Not much, just a tiny little bit. I'll put that back in again. And as that rises up, like so, it activates the lift lever. So it's only got one job to do. It does it very efficiently and it's not complicated. But understanding that will allow you to understand the next lesson that we're going to do, because we're going to add the lift lever to the operation, which sits there, and also the hammer lever, which sits there, and you'll see how the hammer lever works and what activates it for striking.